I'm certainly glad I was not the only one left baffled by the response that Katie Britt gave for the State of the Union. So obviously I wanted to figure out who Katie Britt was. I've heard her name. Many of us don't know any of these representatives unless they belong to our state. Apparently she's a junior representative from Alabama, and she's really young, making her the youngest ever elected to Senate in the state of Alabama. I always urge young people who are trying to get into this line of work, politics, because you always wonder how these people get into this line of work. It's usually from the time they're young, they start to get into leadership in their high schools, in their college, in their communities. And that's what Katie Britt did. She was in a girls' state leadership program. She went to school for political science and got her Bachelor's of Science degree, and she received her Juris Doctor from University of Alabama School of Law. Now, her family are well off. I mean, they had their own business, and she obviously through her family understood leadership. Anyone who comes from families that have entrepreneurs understand that it's ingrained in you to do something with your life and to make your own. So here we are now. This is an educated woman, a woman that understands leadership, and she gave this a god-awful speech. Speech was so bad that some even compared it to scenes out of A Handmaid's Tale. Okay, I tuned in for maybe a minute and a half. But then as she started talking, I was like, what is she even talking about? There was no clarity in what she was even talking about. It was almost like she was giving some sort of dystopian speech about America and its greatness, and everything about it did not make sense. She was not responding to what she saw in the state of, and what really made me turn away from it and I couldn't watch anymore was the weird smiling as you're talking. I've never seen that. That's like if I'm giving a conversation to you and I'm going, this is how I think, and this is what we should talk. Who smiles through a whole conversation like that? It was very off-putting. It almost seemed like, I don't even know if it was real. Like at one point I even questioned, is this AI? Is this like a pre-recorded response? Because is she even responding to what we saw here tonight? I wanted to hear more feedback about, what she thought Joe Biden did. Did she find him to be connecting Americans? Was he creating more of a divide? Did she want to chime in on some of the things that occurred, like the man that got up and shout that we now find out his son was a veteran and died when Joe Biden pulled out of Afghanistan? I wanted to hear more about what she was thinking in that room as she was watching the president talk about the State of the Union and how America is doing. And she didn't do that. I understand why the Republicans chose her. It's obvious that the Republicans has an issue with creating this view of being diverse. Just call it what it is. The Democrats have always seemed or come across more hip, more relevant to the times that we're living in. Look at the kind of people surrounded here around Jill. This is a colorful group. They're all wearing bright colors and it looks more lively. There's even they call them the pink hair, blue hair people, whatever. It just looks inclusive. And I think the Republicans really struggle with looking inclusive. It speaks for itself when you see them all sit down. It's usually all elderly, older white males. And even though that's not completely always the case, there are some, people of color, and it's just small in comparison to the Democrats. And I think that what they were trying to do was to bring someone young, a woman, felt like they could have just chose somebody who really knows how to give a really good response, someone who seemed passionate. I had more passion in my TikTok video that I posted while I was watching the State of the Union live than she did in her pinky. And it was really sad to watch because I really wanted some real feedback on, okay, did she see some of the things I saw? For me, I was completely baffled and shocked that Joe Biden could actually speak well through this whole thing. I mean, I wanted to know what medications he was on or what they gave him. Did he take a Red Bull in before he got on that stage? Because he actually was mostly coherent, even though there were parts where he kind of stumbled a bit. I mean, that's normal for all of us that are talking, and sometimes we stumble over our words. But it was shocking to me that he could actually form a sentence completely for a whole hour. Now, keep in mind, we had Kamala standing up every 5 freaking minutes clapping. So, it did give him a chance to kind of collect himself and kind of gather his thoughts. So I think that really helped with all the clapping. it does bring a lot of attention to her. She is part of the, as it says here, part of a cadre of young Republicans closely aligned with Trump. So this was a good move for their party because they know that she aligns with Trump. But at the same time, it felt like, very rehearsed. And I just think that, it brought a lot of attention to her for sure. So I don't know if this was a good PR stunt or not. I mean, here I am talking about it. So maybe it was a successful stunt to make her look very dystopian and strange and make us want to look into who she is and what her beliefs are. All in all, I would say the main takeaway from someone like Katie Britt is that she's going to be here for a while because she is young. And we know once you get into politics, you're there for a while. I don't think any of these young people, if you ask them about term limits, would agree to it. I don't think any of the people coming into politics will ever change. Even if they say they want term limits, they will never do that to themselves. It's always interesting to me that it's all lawyers that, well, not all, but many lawyers choose this profession. And it's quite sad because a lot of lawyers understand the law and they know how to use it to their advantage to make you believe things. They're really good salespeople. But I saw right through her sales pitch. It was very dry and insincere. I mean, when she was talking about Laken Riley, the girl that was murdered by the quote unquote undocumented person. And we heard that Joe Biden got in trouble for this, right? Joe Biden has to now explain himself and why he called it an illegal person instead of an undocumented person. So, she seemed so weird. She was smiling through that. It was weird. I need you to go watch that again. She was literally smiling as she was saying, and we have to do something. I don't know how someone talks like this. Anyways, that's my feedback about Katie Britt. And I just think, young people out there, if you guys want to get into this field of politics, you want to change the future, you want to help people, go get you a law degree, get a political science or a finance or an economics degree, go to school, get the education, because this is one of the prerequisites to becoming a permanent politician is to go get a law degree. Now, also your contacts and who you network with. But what did you guys think? I just thought it was very strange and off-putting. Have a great day. Think for yourself.